Hello, everyone, and we are back. It's been a while since you've seen our ugly mugs. Once again, I am Matt, and joining me as always, well, not always, but a lot of the time, is Geoff, and this is one of those special Geoff reviews. However, you'll be getting 3 reviews of this film from us. You'll be getting the Geoff review. You'll be getting my review because his screening was a week before mine. And you'll be getting a spoiler review from us because this is the final installment in the Mission Impossible franchise, and we really wanted to dig down into the nitty gritty of it. So, Geoff, before we dig into this, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing fantastic, man. I got to see a new Mission Impossible movie, and now I get to talk about it, apparently, multiple times.
Yes, multiple times.
Hmm.
Multiple times.
Yes,
All
sir.
right, Geoff, give us your excuse me, give us your thoughts, your general thoughts at first of this new Mission Impossible film.
All right. Well, let me just preface this because, when you talk about a movie that's like deep in a franchise, maybe do a bit of a gloss over of the series. I did a rewatch of the entire series leading up to this. In fact, my screening was on a Monday night. So, because life got in the way, I didn't start my rewatch like in earnest until like Sunday, the day before. I got through the first two Mission Impossibles like that Friday or Saturday, and then that Sunday I got through 3 and 4, and then Monday I started right at the beginning of the day with Rogue Nation, and I finished Dead Reckoning Part One on my phone 15 minutes before Final Reckoning started in the theater. I got it done though. I got that rewatch in. Oh man, of course the longest ones all within one day there. Um I think this is an awesome series, especially on rewatch. I get to appreciate things more. I get to dig in more on the things that I like, the things that I don't like. Maybe I'm a little softer on them. I think that we'll start from the beginning real quick. Mission Impossible from 1996. That one was just one of the most interesting movies to kind of like when you look back at franchise filmmaking. Oh, we're adapting this very beloved thing in the 90s, from a show from the 60s into the 70s. It was a series where the main character was Jim Phelps, and in this movie Jim Phelps turned out to be the bad guy, and Ethan
Yeah.
Hunt was this new character, was the main character. If that was made today, oh man. Oh man, I'd be getting, instead of getting like, angry bot notifications funneled to my Twitter about people in bad faith saying that the new Superman is bad despite it not being out for months, and they haven't seen anything. Like they'd be saying the same thing about this because, oh, it's not what they saw when they were a child, or it's not the exact thing that they remember. But Brian De Palma helped make this awesome psychological um, spy thriller that had some cool set pieces, but the more you think about it, it's a little quaint compared to where the series does go.
Yes.
But it's a lot of fun. It's really enjoyable. I like it a lot. Mission Impossible 2. Most people refer to this movie as like a bag of crap, big, big sack of shit. And I was one of those people. I want to say that in past tense, was one of those people. On rewatch, it is still not a good movie. I want to make
Okay.
that perfectly clear. But maybe it's because last year I watched a ton of John Woo movies. So I mainlined his whole, style I was able to like forgive some of that stuff and enjoy that the movie was doing different stuff. And maybe it was that, oh, well, it kind of stands out compared to the rest of them in a way. But there's still like stuff that I like about it. I think that I like the more operatic stuff that John Woo brings. I mostly like most of what John Woo brings to it more than the cast or the mediocre, notorious riff that it does, or the blatant misogyny with Tandway Newton, or the pretty
Mhm.
terrible villain performance. But like overall,
Mhm.
I don't actually hate it. In fact, like I don't. I'm in the future. I don't think I'm going to dread rewatching it. That's how I feel.
As someone
Not
who
a
just
ringing endorsement. Not a ringing
as
endorsement.
as someone who just watched it for only the second time in my life today,
Mhm.
I still will forever dread rewatch.
Yeah, well, wait until you get to the fourth rewatch, like I just did. Um,
Yeah, that's never gonna
no,
happen.
I get it.
This se-
Hey, look, man,
this series is ending. I have no reason to mention it.
2025. was the year of reappraisal for me for a lot of movies I've been watching.
I know Speed Racer, one of my favorites, is on that list.
I couldn't stand Speed Racer for years. I tried multiple times, and then finally earlier this year, I said, "Let me give it
It
a shot."
clicked.
What the hell were you thinking, Geoff? That movie
It clicked.
rocks.
Uh,
Anyways, Mission Impossible 3, which is like J.J. Abrams trying to do like, what if I did Michael Bay and Tony Scott at the same time, and but it's also Alias, and it's not perfect, but I have a lot of fun with that too, and I think that one really huge reason why that movie is as good as it is because we have an all-time villain performance, and I don't just mean a Mission
yeah,
Impossible all-time. I'm
just
talking about
all-time villain in
all-time
general.
action movie villain performance in
With Philip
Philip
Seymour
Seymour
Hoffman.
Hoffman. I was about to say Paul Walter Hauser. Philip Seymour Hoffman, different three-syllable one with a PH. Yeah, man, that movie's a lot of that, just like really enjoyable as well. Wish
I
that
think
J.J. Abrams would use a medium shot every so often.
I will say, I think that movie is the one you have to credit to getting the franchise where we are now.
I disagree, only because I think that it was Ghost Protocol that really actually kind of kicked into the gear that we are
No.
in.
What I mean by that is, if that movie failed, like 2 failed, we don't get
Yeah,
Ghost.
it's odd when you talk
It
about
added
like
more
failed
stakes
with
to it.
Mission Impossible because like
It added more stakes to the series. I
yeah,
guess is the way.
it added
Is
more
what I'm
stakes to
getting.
the series, but it's like I mean, there were four years between the first and the second movie. There were 6 years between 2 and 3.
Mhm.
Now, creatively, there people had a lot of issues, but 2 was a massive success. So we got to like
I
put
was talking about critically.
asterisks
I
next
was
to the
talking
word
about
fail.
critically.
Yeah. But 3 was clearly like, a low point financially with them, but like creatively there was a lot of juice in there. But it's still one that like not everyone loves. I don't
Oh,
even know if I love that movie. I really like it though. Then Ghost Protocol came, and that's really what kind of like set it up where it's like this is a team one. This is a team project with Tom Cruise at the center. Um Ghost Protocol is obviously a blast. It has a pretty, I can't even remember the name of the villain, and I just watched the movie a couple days ago.
it's
But
got
then
the
again,
best
I don't
stunt
know
in
if
the
the movie
series to me
remembers the
still.
villain.
I
It's
just
a
I remember Paula Patton, and I remember the
Paula
stunt.
Patton's great. I wish that they didn't like drop her storyline halfway through the movie. There
Yeah.
are like storytelling issues with that movie that
Hmm.
we can talk about for days. Everything after the Burj Khalifa is kind of like mixed, but like Brad Bird, I don't really care that Tomorrowland didn't do too well. Can we get him out of like live action directors jail? Like, let's get
Yes.
him to do something else again. Anyways, overall though, Ghost Protocol still awesome. Rogue Nation fucking rips. That's where Macquarie fully took over. And you could tell like this is where everyone's starting to fire on all cylinders. I think the team, everyone is working like super in tandem. The chemistry is great, the action's great. The villain, I've seen some people think that that the villain Sean Harris is kind of like a not a great villain. I disagree. I actually really like the kind of villain that he's trying to play in this one. I don't necessarily think it's like the greatest villain. I just think that it works for what they're trying to do. Since the villain is not the point of that movie. So great stuff in there as well. And then Fallout, of course, I think might be one of the best action movies I've ever seen. I think that movie is
Fallout is what I
awesome.
consider the pinnacle of the series.
I will always remember Fallout as being the movie that I tried to go see and use Movie Pass for the weekend that they decided to stop. Like,
Yeah.
remember when they started freezing out using
Uh-huh.
Movie
I
Pass?
remember that was one of my
Because we
last
ran out
movie
of stuff.
pass
But really,
movies.
they were just stopping people on purpose. I will remember that happening the same day that we tried to go, my parents and I tried to go see it. And it turned out the theater we went to was shut down right before we got there because of like pipes bursting. So then we had to drive across town to another theater because we were hell bent on going to see it. Um, Worth it. Dead Reckoning. I know some people were a little mixed on it. The change from film to digital and the
I
way that's being used and
I
the
enjoyed
convoluted
that.
nature of it. I think Dead Reckoning also rips. Um, it's also to me a really strong part 1, and then they got rid of part 2 from the name because marketing's like blah blah blah. Yeah, maybe just don't call things part 1, part 2, but if you call it, stick with it. So that's why I am bugged that this isn't called Dead Reckoning Part 2 or something. But I'm gonna forgive it because like the movie kind of also works on its own. It's able to, it's its own story, which is obviously an extension and of the last movie. It's also definitely a movie that ties in to most, not all, but most of the other films in the series. I don't think the closest we're ever going to get, I think, to Mission Impossible 2 being pulled back into Mission Impossible was how in Fallout, Tom was like, oh, wait, I can rock climb my way out of here. Oh, that's about it. Final Reckoning takes place after Dead Reckoning, where the entity, of course, is still out there. This AI program, where Gabriel was working for the entity. Here now, uh, this is sometime later, about at least a month or so after.
But I think I read
And
it was 2 months. 2 months
yeah,
after.
it's at least a month. I couldn't remember if it was 1 or 2 months.
Two.
And the entity is now sort of expanded in the world. It's grown beyond just Gabriel being its messenger, and it has started to get its claws in on all technology in life, the whole internet, basically, cyberspace, anything connected, which includes the nuclear arsenals connected to all of the major countries in the world, those that have those major nuclear arsenals. And every day it seems like one of those, one by one, they're being taken offline because the entity is taking control of those nuclear arsenals. The US might be the last chance. And are they going to be the ones to strike first before the entity can strike them? Or are they going to have to rely on Tom Cruise and team in order to figure out a way to stop it? Well, this isn't mission difficult, it's mission impossible, as Anthony Hopkins said in Mission Impossible 2.
Yeah.
Great line, great line. Not a great line, but a hysterical line. Love it, actually. The first hour of this movie is it is clunky in its exposition dumps, which, there's all sorts of exposition throughout all the series. I don't actually care about exposition dumps. I'm fine with exposition dumps. I'd rather get the information out. The movie just has a lot of it because it's just a lot of people talking in rooms, which is fine, and cross cutting in a way. It's not a spoiler. It's cross cutting with older movie footage, like flashes, images, and stuff. It's trying to remind you. So if you didn't just rewatch the whole series, the movie will remind you of the important stuff, which is a very good thing for a movie like this to do, I think. So that way you don't necessarily have to rely on all these things. However, it's both. It does kind of have like a, what is it, like a hagiography? I think the word is pronounced. Where it's sort of, like really like idolizing the past of this series. But I don't think that it does it insincerely. Anyways, that's the setup. The entity is now kind of starting taking over all of these nuclear arsenals, and it's up to Tom Cruise and team in order to figure out how to get get a hold of the entity in order to stop it. How can you get a hold of something that is just a program in the ether on the cyberspace? It's just constantly expanding.
You have to go to that sub under the water.
You have to go to that sub. Well, what does the sub have there? Why do you need to go to that sub? What other places do you have to go? The best of this series has what I think is really a really fun thing is the name of the movies are Mission Impossible. So stuff like one of the things with like the Burj Khalifa sequence that's so good in the Ghost Protocol is that it takes that impossible mission and it's like, great, how can we make it more impossible? So, all right, first they have to be able to swap. They have to swap, they got to swap the codes or whatever. Oh, and then on top of that, now they can't actually access the way that they need to. So now he has to climb out. How is he going to climb out? Well, he has these gloves. Blue is glue, red is dead. Oh, and now one of those gloves isn't working. So he has to
Right.
figure out how to climb. And now he can't get back down. He has to swing into there. Just like there's constant obstacles in the way. And this is a sort of movie where it's like, great, but what if each of those obstacles was a separate impossible mission? So instead of just being like, you got to get the one glove up and one glove there, it's you got to go here and you got to go here and you got to go here, you got to go here. And also, I'm pointing on a globe right now.
Yeah.
Like you got to go all over the place, and you have about 3.5 days. It's mind-boggling. Like the actual like I thought about it like, wow, how are they able to travel this far? And then I'm like, oh, suspension of disbelief. That's how. Um, It's a very it is clunky though the way some of it's delivered at the beginning there. It's kind of messy and like it's like they got to throw out all this information and it's not really done in like for such a previously tight screenwriter as Chris McQuarrie has been with this series. It's this movie is very unwieldy in all the information because he's trying to do all this new stuff they have while also constantly evoking and paying homage to what came before in its series. And that can be annoying to some, but when it's a finale, the way that this movie definitely feels like it is, to me at least, um, I'm not as bugged by it. Uh, when you have a movie kind of like this, I don't care about the unwieldiness. It's definitely unwieldy. It's definitely messy, but like the scope of it is so big. We've gone from, oh, well, the knock list where we need to make sure that, oh, our list of agents isn't leaked because then they might be killed, all the way to this, which is one man has to go up against AI to stop the end of the world before our creation destroys ourselves because AI will destroy us all. Thank you, Tom Cruise, talking about the art of cinema.
Yes.
um, I love that, man. Like it's for a movie that's 3 hours long or just about. I think it's like 170 minutes. Um, I did feel some of the pacing. I did feel some of the time. Like I wanted to check my watch a few times. I actually couldn't because in my screening they said like even your Apple Watch should be off. So I'm like, okay, cool. Can't do that. But that didn't mean that it didn't like earn to me. It nearly earned its runtime. Could have been a little tighter, obviously. When a movie gets that big, it's either it's worth it or it should be tighter. This one, it's funny because a lot of movies that are 2.5 hours in the last few years, I'm like, just go the full three.
Yeah.
This one here, I think maybe could have shaved a little bit here or there. The team, I like the team. Teams, everything that you saw in the trailers. I don't want to go into it because maybe some members of the team aren't necessarily who was in it in the last movie, or maybe they're new additions or ones that weren't in this one, obviously based off of how things went in the previous movie. But the team all works together really well. The set pieces, of course, are why you really go to these movies. The set pieces, and also to see can Tom Cruise run.
Yes.
Um, I would like to say, let me see, how old is he now? How old is Tom
61, I
Cruise?
believe.
62, and he's gonna be 63 soon in July. He's 62 years old, which means he was filming it probably when he was 61, and he can run. He can
Mhm.
run like a motherfucker, man. He can run. He can run. He cannot run necessarily the way he did in Mission Impossible 3, possibly the top tier of Tom Cruise running performances.
Yes. No, no,
But
no.
he can.
Four is top tier running performances.
If you're, I would disagree only because, man, the way he runs through Shanghai, man,
Listen.
just the power of the Shanghai run alone versus him running into a sandstorm.
Hey, don't forget running out of a exploding gulag or whatever.
Yeah, all that stuff is very cool. Oh yeah, well, he didn't. No, that wasn't a gulag. He was running out of the Kremlin as it
Thank you, thank
exploded.
you, thank you. I
The
couldn't remember what.
Kremlin,
But
not
you get
just
my
any
point.
gulag. But yeah, so I'm a little all over the place with this, which is funny because like this movie is a little all over the place as well. I'm not saying it's a little unfocused because it wants to do 800 different things, and I'm fine with it because I like 750 of those things. So yeah, the set pieces are awe-inspiring. There's a sequence in the middle of the film. A lot of people probably have talked about it when reactions went online, and it's stunning. It's just I'm thinking to myself, I don't know how they did some of this stuff. I don't know how they were able to accomplish some of the work that they did. I know how they were able to accomplish him on a plane, which is a different sequence. The reason why I'm not explaining this other sequence is because why would I spoil that sort of amazing thing? The plane is on the poster.
Right.
It's in that video when he said "see you at
Yeah.
the movies," and then it was just him on the plane. I know how they did it because I saw him post that video saying "see you at the movies," and I saw how they did it. He just was there. This other thing, I don't think it was necessarily that, but just just awesome, awesome stuff there. Um, I saw people trying to call like it has like Dark Knight syndrome, Dark Knight Rises syndrome, which I don't really agree with. I mean, it is, yeah, it's a nearly 3 hour finale to a series, to a beloved series that might have some mixed reactions. It's very overly ambitious, one might even say. Uh, Maybe to a fault, less from my position. Um, Very unwieldy, messy, tries to do a whole lot. The scope is massive. There's a lot of ways to compare it to Dark Knight in terms of the studio gave you a blank check to make a massive thing, the massive finale the way you want to do it. Sure. But I think that's really where the similarities end, at least as far as I can tell. There's some other things as well, but like they might be a little more spoilery. But even then, still, I think that it's such a thrilling film. It's such a thrilling work, and I'm so excited and so like glad that I had a chance to get to see this early, so that way I was able to form my own opinion sitting here. It's the first time rather than years of people saying how awesome these movies are, and then we forget about them for a few years. I got to the point now where it's like, yeah, I'm excited for these things, and it's always going to deliver for me. I plan on rewatching this at some point. I don't know if I'll be able to get to go to a theater. There is Oh man, when it goes to IMAX at one point, they did a thing where like in Sinners when it was like when it reminds you that you're in an IMAX theater. Did you see it in IMAX?
No, I
Sinners?
see it in IMAX this Saturday in the 70 millimeter IMAX.
Cool. I don't know if it's something that happens in non-IMAX theaters. It's not a spoiler, obviously. It's just how IMAX is
Yeah.
used, where there's a moment where it's like, oh, wait, yeah, this is an IMAX. We need to expand the screen for this. There's a super fun, clever thing that they did to be like, guess what, bitches? We're on IMAX. And I'm like, great, yeah. You know what? You took me out for 2 seconds just to rub it in my face. And you know what? Fine. Rub it all over. I love it. I love it, man. When I walked out of the theater, my rep said, "What'd you think?" And I said, like, shit rips. What else do you want from me? Like, what else do you want me to say? Walking out of it, I was on a high. I felt like it gave me everything I wanted. It gave me things that I didn't know that I wanted. It gave me some things that maybe I didn't want. But overall, I was just so excited with what it did give me that the faults are, mild criticisms from me, maybe major from others, but I don't care about what the others think. I love this thing.
And with that, Jeff, what are you going to rate this film?
I am going to give this one a 4 out of 5 for this eighth feature in the Mission Impossible Tom Cruise cycle. I gotta say, maybe it might grow with me. I don't know. I'm at a 4 now. Numbers are really kind of meaningless. It's just sort of like a hey, how do you kind of feel at this moment? At the end of the day, I enjoyed the hell out of this. I think it might be to me probably like I probably rank it fourth in the franchise. Now I say that with, two at the bottom, then the first one, then the third one, then Ghost Protocol actually. Because I just think that there's a lot of like stuff in that third act with Ghost Protocol, everything that they try to do with Paula Patton after the second half, where they or not try to do, where they just kind of drop most of that interesting stuff with her. Um, the villain is kind of like real shit and Ghost Protocol, so like that stuff does drop. All the great stuff with Ghost Protocol, awesome. The lows of Mission Impossible, Final Reckoning, putting it at number 4 there. They might be lows, but the highs are so high, man. And then Dead Reckoning, Rogue Nation, and Fallout at the pinnacle.
Switch Rogue Nation and Ghost Protocol on you on my list there. Actually, I might put 3 above Rogue Nation. I watched Rogue Nation once. I was not a fan, and I just yeah.
Well, you'll get through it.
Hey, you watching that either after this or I should say, since this is up today, right now, it's a very good chance I'm watching it right now.
At the time that this drops, and
yes.
no other time. If you watch it 2 days after, he's already seen
it. But today is a busy day on this channel. If you're checking this out, you'll also be able to see that our trailer reaction for Superman, the official trailer reaction, dropped earlier today, as well as the trailer reaction for Ironheart. So it has been an incredibly busy day. I'm saying this as if I've already recorded those, which I haven't. But still, when you guys see this, it will have been a busy day.
You've never like front dated a contract or something? Like, yeah, you're doing that right now.
Yeah.
Fine.
I know. I'm just making a joke. But yeah. But with that, folks, signing off. Oh, wait. Not doing that yet. Almost forgot one more plug. Watt Gaming, the sister channel that Taylor Cleek, one of our partners, run. He's puts all of his gaming VODs up after the fact there, and you can go check those out, as well as all the beautiful clips that he does. And you will be able to see my review on Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning next Wednesday. So a week from today, or excuse me, next Thursday, a week from tomorrow. Yeah, because my review can't drop until the day it's coming out. How fun. How fun. But yeah, you'll see mine then, and then you'll probably see Geoff and I's spoiler review the following Monday or Tuesday. But with that, folks, signing off, I am Matt. That is Geoff. This was another Real Review. See you next time.